This episode of Dead Man Walking is brought to you by awkward, politically correct character development.
Or lack thereof character development.
Wrong, and you should just hit yourself in the face until you change your mind.
The gold standard for dumb storytelling.
Netflix doesn't make real movies, but controversy. Mark 2020.
Benny Doodle Cumberbund.
Good job, Luke. You did it.
What?
His creepy lip!
What? I'm the new Kool-Aid Man.
So, we just saw Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, or as we like to call it, another episode of People is the Real Monsters. It was rough. I mean, we're not saying it was terrible, but they might as well rename Chris Pratt LeBron James, because he basically carried this movie by himself, and just like the Cavs, it's making a ton of press and money and going absolutely nowhere.
We're kind of a far cry away from the adventurous and wondrous place that Jurassic Park took us, but life always finds a way, even for franchises that are pretty stale and should be dead by now. Life finds a way.
Like, it's a beautiful movie, don't get us wrong. Like, the special effects are incredible, and for what may be a true first in modern cinema, like, the lighting was actually really good. And there's a lot of dark scenes in this movie. We spend a lot of time in a giant creepy house. More on that later. But the lighting was never terrible. Whoever was doing the cinematography does a really good job, in my opinion, because you always know what's going on. The darkness is used well, in my opinion.
That we keep saying you always know what's going on is a bad sign for other movies nowadays.
It's such a pervasive problem.
That out.
Like it's.
I'm thinking of the Transformers movies in particular, where it's just womp womp womp, and like you have no clue what's happening.
You just get this big grayish mass of sludge lost in the shadows half of the time, and there's no reason for it.
Or when the camera shakes around Jason Bourne style, and you just see fists and knives swashing around like we're supposed to be excited.
I mean, there is a lot of really good action sequences in this film, but my big thing is that you can see what's going on. You don't have to guess. And if we're honest, seeing dinosaurs on the big screen is never not going to be cool.
Yeah, no, it's for the very base enjoyment, I guess. Primitive, just fun.
The sad fact of the matter is the visual spectacle is the film's high point. And instead of it could have risen up, but instead we just get this crushing lack of character development and this stupid storyline.
It was, I mean, I guess it was fun to watch, I guess, in the same way that the first Jurassic World was fun to watch. It made gobs of money. It, left people satisfied enough to warrant a sequel because it was just fun to see in the theater. Everybody went to go see it. They're like, yes, I love raptors. This movie has a ton of them. Chris Pratt's riding a bike with raptors alongside of him.
I kind of liked I'll admit, I liked the Jurassic World retread because it kind of went back and handled all the things that people, like, when you watch the first Jurassic Park, the whole time you're like, well, why didn't they just do this? And Jurassic World shows them doing that, and they still screw up. And I enjoyed that. But this one, honestly, the story just drags the film down faster than someone getting eaten by a mosasaurus.
Wait, step back a second. You liked Jurassic World?
I didn't love it, but I didn't mind it. I thought it was all right. It was a fun popcorn munching movie. I wasn't cringing in my theater seat, but I felt like I was doing that a lot with Fallen Kingdom.
I think, like you, I only saw that in theater, and I really have no desire to see it again.
It's all right, and that's what it comes down to. This movie, I don't even know if it quite made it to the all right bar.
Really excited to see more raptors, and that's what we got. We got a lot of velociraptors.
Oh my word! It's like they're gonna start making plushies about them now.
People love their velociraptors, almost as much as they love their T-Rex. Probably more so.
Almost as much as they love Jeff Goldblum, who is not in this movie. I don't care what the trailers and the advertising says. He's not there. More on that later.
Here we are. Following Jurassic World, we're here with the sequel of the sequel that pretends the other two sequels didn't happen. I'm pretty sure this is the only other franchise, or this is the only franchise I can think of that's so desperately trying to recapture its original impact.
The original magic. And I get that because the original movie was incredible. Like, you still go back and watch it and you feel that sense of wonder that they were clearly trying to portray. But with Jurassic World, we just get this 2-hour film lecturing
Fallen
us.
Kingdom.
Yeah, Fallen Kingdom. But it's a 2-hour film that lectures us on how this ragtag group of inexperienced animal rights activists trying to release the 30-foot-long man-eating tanks into the wilds of suburban California are actually the good guys.
Wow, thanks for that, by the way. Spoiler already.
It's in the trailer. They're trying to save the dinosaurs.
It's true. They actually do spoil a lot just in the trailer.
The trailer is the first half of the film.
Basically, dinos are about to go. While you're getting lost in us talking about it. So
Yeah, give him the
it takes
breakdown.
place
Give
a
him the
good
breakdown.
bit after the last film. It doesn't pick up right where we left off.
It's like, what, 3 to 6 years have passed, something like that?
Yeah, I guess the same amount of time since the original movie. Dinos are about to go extinct a second time because the island that they built the park on in Jurassic World
Is literally about to blow up.
it apparently has an active volcano. So nice planning, you super brilliant scientists. Just build up your theme park there when it's about to get run over by lava. The bad guys basically want to save the dinos so they can weaponize them, like Wilson Fisk wanted to do in the last movie,
Or like they wanted to do in the second movie. And arguably the third. Did anyone actually see the third Jurassic Park film?
I did. That's the only other sequel I've seen. I haven't seen The Lost World now.
I've seen Lost World. But it's the same thing. You got the weaponized mercenaries.
Jurassic-
Hey, these dinosaurs will make great attack dogs.
Jurassic Park 3 was actually just a simple rescue mission. That was about it. It was like these parents went on some trip and their kids somehow got stuck on this island with the dinos, and they hire
That's just bad parenting.
somebody from the first movie to, save the kid.
Weird point. We'll talk about that later, about recurring characters and characters that are just created out of thin air. But
Anyways,
there were some issues.
that weaponizing thing makes sense, I guess. Baddies want to stick raptors on their enemies. Sounds like stopping that horror from happening should be a good start for hero motivation.
But it's not.
We'll get to that in a second. Apparently elsewhere in the world, PETA is rioting because dinos are people too, and they want the government to step in and save them. Except it's not just PETA. It's everybody. Apparently that's everybody we're supposed to be rooting for. Thinks that just...
And that really, really bugs me, because it's like the original point of Michael Crichton's entire Jurassic Park story wasn't just a warning about genetic manipulation, but a warning about letting science in general run amok, and without direction or discretion, how it could doom mankind with hubris. But in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, we get this film that's entirely built around not just protecting science that has run amok, but trying to force the government to accept and subsidize it. It's like, did you miss nothing?
Apparently, Goldblum's character, Dr. Malcolm, I think is the character's
Ian
name.
Malcolm,
Ian
yeah.
Malcolm. He says a little bit at the beginning of the movie and a little bit at the end. That's all he's there for, and it's in like the same exact set.
And in the meantime, you get 2 hours of morons who never take more than 5 seconds to think about what they're doing.
He is the only character who speaks the sentiment of somebody who has survived Jurassic Park. And Jurassic World, considering that thing was so much more catastrophic, you'd think that everybody who escaped that movie would learn even more.
But instead, let's rescue the dinosaurs. And that bugs me more, because it's like they're not even rescuing all of them. They just want to rescue some of them for genetic material, to clone them again. Genetic material they could get from the bones of the dead dinosaurs. There's no reason to bring these dinosaurs off of the island.
So despite said rational sense being made, like I said, the only motivation our heroes need to go back on the island for this suicide mission that will most definitely take human lives to just save these dinos are... But dinos, man.
Well,
We gotta save the dinos.
And the one raptor. Because everyone
that's
likes
right.
the velociraptors.
Blue. But you raised that raptor. I liked when she talked to him at the bar. It's like, hey, you're gonna let Blue die? And he's like, well, yeah. Like
Chris Pratt was the only redeeming, the only voice of reason in this entire film. Literally the only one, and then, nobody listened.
And then it felt like instead of his character pushing him to the island for like another good reason, it was like the producers told him, no, go sit in front of this TV screen and watch you raising Blue. Get all that flashback and then use that as your motivation somehow.
For a film series that was created to forget about the somewhat embarrassing Jurassic Park sequels, instead we get the same stupid stereotypical plots and characters with some new trim and lazy attempts at socioeconomic commentary thrown in for good measure.
They want dinos. That's their whole thing. Is like, but dinos are about to go extinct. We need to save them. Like we have people that grew up with dinos being real. We can't let that not be a thing.
And here's the thing:
anymore.
is you can have just a big, dumb, fun monster movie if that's the goal, but they also try and get smart about it. Like they try to have a message, but you don't know what it is because everyone in the film is just kind of stupid, so you don't want to listen to anything they have to say.
Stupidity reigns in this movie. The characters get their wish. There are dinos everywhere. And if that's all you wanted as a movie, then you got your wish. There's flying dinos, there's swimmy dinos, little dinos, big dinos, tank dinos, rhino dinos, munchy, snappy, cute dinos, even headbutt dinos. That's right, kiddos. Get ready to beg your mums for the Headbuttasaurus toys. They are sure to be a hit.
The upshot for me is that Jurassic World was a mildly interesting retread of the original movie, but nothing is ever going to truly recapture that wonder, excitement, or terror of seeing like the first film. It's not there.
There were a lot of scenes that could have been more suspenseful if they had just toned it back a little bit.
Instead, it was almost like a comedy, but then it would like try and get dark again real quick. So you just had this like tonal roller coaster the whole way through.
We'll say also when it gets dark, and this is where I say the movie was good visually. When it gets visually dark, it's still colorful and bright just enough that it still looks good and you can see what's going on.
They understand the contrast.
Yeah, that is actually something that's good. You're never lost in what's happening. We said that. The CG, while it's overdone compared to, Jurassic Park,
it's still well done.
It still looks good. What did you think of the soundtrack? I thought it fit this movie in the sense that it just kept trying to be epic.
It fit the film, but it wasn't. I don't want to say it wasn't memorable because everyone knows the Jurassic Park music, but it's just the Jurassic Park music.
But it didn't
more.
feature the Jurassic Park theme as much, and I think that's because it didn't really fit into the movie as well. You heard the distinct time I remember hearing it is there's one scene where we're like reminiscing about the wonder of first seeing a dinosaur, and you start hearing the piano come in, da da da, and that was it. That's the only time where they could have fit it in because the rest of the movie is just so bombastic.
But in a dumb way.
Yes.
And
it's bombastic in like a predictable way.
Having learned nothing from the original sequels, this movie probably should that Jeff Goldblum's address to the Senate, or whatever the heck that was, could have been about this film. But it should have just stayed dead. But just like the park itself, the film is just making buckets and buckets of money. And so the film execs are going to ignore the fact that they're creating a monster, and they're just going to keep on creating them until it turns into the Transformers movies.
Oddly enough, that's a speech that somebody gives in Jurassic World, almost as if he's talking about Jurassic World. We'll get into him in a second in our good, bad, and ugly. Let's start with good.
Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt carried this film. Bryce Dallas Howard tried, but
absolutely agree.
After the last film, like everyone was like, "Oh, it's sexist because she's wearing heels," and the film execs are like, "Oh, we don't want to be sexist again." So
she does show up in those heels at the beginning, but at least she's not running from a T-Rex.
It just kind of crippled her character development because, like, you can see it. Like one scene, she's acting natural, and there's really good chemistry between her and Chris Pratt. And the next scene, it's like she's trying to take charge, but it just feels awkward and weird.
She takes charge because she's next to a screamy kid.
Well, but I'm saying it's like they force her character to develop in a strange way, and they completely forget to have anyone else's develop whatsoever.
Right.
But so as a result, it's like Chris Pratt was the only great character in this film. Like Bryce Dallas Howard was okay, but she could have been better.
I mean, his character wasn't written very well. He just played it well.
He played it well. That's what I'm saying. Like he himself carried the film.
Right.
He was able to deliver the lines in such a way that they weren't stupid, even though they were probably stupidly written.
Yeah, he just plays his part better than everyone else does. So much so, like you said, it carries the film.
I think we also talked about the visuals a lot. The visuals were very good.
I mean, if you like watching dinosaurs roar and munch and do dino things, you'll like this.
Or you want to see a Triceratops French kiss Chris Pratt. That happens.
Or if you're 12, you'll like this.
You will.
Or if you're drunk. I think this might be fun to watch drunk. Like, you know, if you get to go to one of those theaters where you get to imbibe a little bit, it might make this better. Just sit back, watch dinos. Pretty great. There's a nice fill of dinos. Like, we can't emphasize that enough. This just has more of them in it than any movie.
It's a series of set pieces.
And it's just sad because that's not really what Jurassic Park was about. Like,
well, what
humans were a part of it too.
Was there anything else good about it?
So this good sort of ties into the bad. Sounds weird, but we'll get to that. So the villain's motive for me kind of made sense. It was a very good story seed, I'll say. It didn't really blossom into anything particularly good, though.
That's a problem. He was this two-faced. Well, hold on. This we're kind of getting into the bad, though. Do we just want to roll right into the stuff?
Well, no, hold on. I think the idea of, treating genetic engineering as it's featured in the Jurassic Park mythos, treating it like this Pandora's box that has a lot of possibilities stemming from it. I think that's an interesting place to go to. There's good story possibilities there, and outside of just dinosaurs, spoiler, there's the one little girl in the movie, because you have to have the obligatory child in a Jurassic movie. She's actually a clone,
which is this real awkward late stage reveal just out of nowhere.
The reveal doesn't go anywhere, but that idea in a story, a human character that suddenly you don't expect is actually...
It could mean more later.
Right, and that's something that I thought was sort of clever, just because it's a departure from, what you'd expect, but in a way that progresses its mythos. Like I said, it's just a logical progression of that world, and it has the potential for compelling storytelling. But instead what we got was pretty cheesy, and that's where we get into the bad. Just the execution of these ideas.
We're talking about the great visuals. The visuals break down a little bit in the second half of the film, because we literally spend an hour inside of a giant house haunted by dinosaurs. A house with dinosaurs, just for an hour. It's stupid, it's contrived, and it just makes the whole thing seem like a campy comedy.
It's a house with a giant basement meant to contain dinosaurs, but yes.
Obviously it doesn't.
They eventually break free.
All of them.
Because they always do. The villain comes up short.
That's the thing, is all the supporting characters were terrible. Every single one. You had Ted Levine. Buffalo Bill from Hannibal Lecter is the predictably evil big game hunter, but he forgot to put the lotion on the raptor's skin, and he gets his arm chomped off for being an evil white man. You get this the two-faced corporate junkie who's the villain.
Just say why you're announcing that he gets chomped by being the evil white man.
They go out of their way. His whole shtick is he collects dinosaur teeth, and so they have this scene just showing him ripping the teeth out of a drugged dinosaur because he's a mean man.
But it's specifically in his relation with with one other character, I'll say.
You have these two. You have this Tumblr power duo that are with Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, and
the screaming tech boy and the paleo vet.
The Latina Tumblrina feminista paleo veterinarian, who freely admits at the beginning of the movie that she's never actually seen a dinosaur in person. And she is offended by literally everything long before she has any reason to actually be mad.
Well, she gets angry over the phone for somebody calling her a paleo vet. And I thought, why would you come up with a really stupid job title and then get angry at somebody for asking what you do, what that is?
And then we have the African American beta male computer programmer who is actually terrified of everything. He screams constantly.
It's in the most annoying way possible.
And they're just tossed in.
He gets on the island. He's like, oh my gosh, there's gonna be bugs. I gotta put on bug spray.
It's so hot. I would never ride a horse.
Yeah, he starts taking his shirt off, oh my gosh, it's so hot in here. Are we gonna see a T-Rex? I'm terrified of everything. Why am I here?
And they're just tossed in as this token pandering afterthoughts that are genuinely annoying. And it sucks because they actually start to become functional adults by the end of the film, and you have no idea how that happens. They never talk about it. You could have had some really cool character development about these two whiny little millennial kids who have to learn to grow up, and instead just oh, hey, by the way, we're done being useless now when it becomes convenient to the plot. And so they're just insufferable.
Those darn millennials.
But the villain bugged me too. He's this two-faced corporate junkie who's masterminding everything and tries to deliver some biting commentary on how everyone is equally guilty with abusing genetic manipulation.
That was something that, if he had just sold me on. He could have sold
It
me on that
falls flat
so
because
well.
his character's just such a goober.
He's just so bland in this, and they just don't build him up. And the thing is that, like I said, I like that motive for the villain. They could have really built that up as somebody who you look at and go, wow, this guy might actually be right, but I don't want to root for him, like a lot of great villains
And you're
are.
gonna have someone like pointing out that, like, you know, having Newman steal the the codes inside the genetic code inside a Barbasol can in the first one, that was stupid and campy. It was, but he wasn't meant to be the villain. He was just the catalyst. This movie is clearly making a human the villain as opposed to the dinosaurs. But if you're going to make the person the real monster, you have to make them monstrous. They can't just be a corporate bookkeeper who got a little too greedy.
And that's all it is. Like, he shows up as just kind of this, like, dorky rich guy at the beginning, and then as his more sinister plans come to light, his character doesn't, it just gets more bland.
He's never menacing. He's just like perpetually agitated.
I think when we first see him, when we don't know he's the bad guy yet, I think he was more interesting then. It was like he suddenly just, like he said, he got agitated, and so of course he just gets predictably eaten by dinos along with everybody at the end of this movie, because this entire movie is
after the infuriatingly stupid climax.
Well, this entire movie is like good guys narrowly escaping death constantly, bad guys just making death-inducing mistakes constantly.
I have a gun that can shoot something from 300 yards away. I'm gonna go poke a raptor with it. But the climax, that was a supreme moment of just sheer retardation. And I use that word with its true meaning because it was so incredibly handicapped when it came to logic and plot development. The ultimate question of the film is, do we let the dinosaurs live when they're a danger to society? The obvious answer, as Chris Pratt and Jeff Goldblum point out, is no. So there's a big red button they can push, and it's push to save and free the dinosaurs. And they're like, do we push this?
Not an island, onto
Southern California,
United States.
And it's like, and you're thinking they're going to push the freaking button. And they're like, well, maybe we shouldn't. And then the kid, who's a genetically engineered clone, pushes the button, and they look at this kid, and the kid's like, I had to. They're alive. Like me. I'm like,
because
what?
She's a clone. What?
Grizzly bears are alive too. It doesn't mean you want them rampaging through the community pool. No.
But this isn't even like grizzly bears. It's the king of the jungle.
Grizzly bears with machine guns. Don't do that.
They have this like scene where like the king of the jungle, the lion, is like roaring against the king of the dinosaurs, the T-Rex. It's like,
it's stupid.
Look at that size comparison for a second here. Oh, also, the big swimmy dino, the one that's like bigger than the rest of them, and
may or may not have gotten out.
Everything. How did he get out?
They left the doors open.
So they left the doors at just the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
So the fact
we have no idea where he went.
So the fact that she hit that button has nothing to do with him being there and eating those surfers.
No.
We're just gonna place him along everything else just because.
I'm still salty about the button thing. It's like, if you have a basement full of genetically engineered Adolf Hitler clones and you just have to be a clone of Joe Schmo, do you sit there and go, I should let all these mini Hitlers free because they're alive like me? No! No! No!
Mini Hitlers.
In what universe does that lot? And then they sit there like hugging themselves like, yes, we did the right thing. It's like, you doomed hundreds of people to a horrible death.
It's not exactly Hitler motives. It's pedo motives. It's dinos are people too. Their lives are worth the same as ours.
No, their lives are worth more. That's the fundamental messaging. It may not be intentional, but that's ultimately what's communicated.
And the thing is, since the hero's motives are pedo motives, that's probably why the villain couldn't have been built up anymore for being right, because then we might actually be rooting for him.
I was already half rooting for him if he wasn't like planning on selling the, genetically engineered super dinosaur to the Russian arms dealer.
We didn't talk about Endoraptor. The new monster. Because in one of the other maybe more interesting things about Jurassic World is that it had dinosaurs in it, but then they were like, we need to make a bigger thing. And then it sort of turns into a monster movie on top of a dinosaur movie with Indominus Rex, which is like the mix between a T-Rex and a Velociraptor. And then Indoraptor in this one is like a mix between what?
They just keep shrinking it down.
They just put more raptor into it, and then they make it more susceptible. They make it in its genes. It obeys laser commands
for reasons.
Well, because it needs to attack things, and so you can weaponize it. So of course this perks up the Russian arms dealer's ears because he's Russian and he can't help himself. That's the other message of the movie.
Also, didn't we do all of this in The Lost World? Like, the entire film? Didn't this already happen? Kidnapping dinosaurs, taking them back to weaponize them, accidentally letting them loose in L.A.? Didn't this already happen?
I don't remember.
Did we learn nothing?
No. We keep making dinosaurs. We keep making the same mistake.
How about you? But that brings me...
We won't close Pandora's box.
That brings me to the ugly here.
Let's get into the ugly, because...
for me, the ugliest thing in this film is, speaking of making the same mistakes... Jeff Goldblum is here to warn them that they're making the mistakes. And the biggest mistake they made is his presence in this film, because he's not in it. He's not in this film. He's essentially a cameo. He addresses Congress at the beginning and the end of the film and never even interacts with any of the characters. It's like the studio said, "Hey, Jeff, want to be in a dinosaur movie?" And he was like, yeah, but I only have 4 minutes of free time. And they're like, "Perfect. We only have 4 minutes of screen time scripted."
It wouldn't have been so bad if he wasn't so disconnected from the rest of the characters. At least if somebody had, saw him on television and been like, yeah, that guy's right, and then that person was in the rest of the movie, maybe he would have had meaning.
You could literally cut out both of his scenes, which are really just the same scene but chopped in half, and it would change absolutely nothing about anything else in this film. It has no bearing on anything. No one's affected by it. Nothing.
Well, yeah, because nobody listens to it. Nobody cares. No major character in this movie thought the same as he did. Sense. I'm going to get into my ugly.
Please
Ready
do.
for this?
Please
Ready for
do.
this? Stop bringing back B.D. Wong as Dr. Wu. At least give him a little bit of depth if you're going to keep doing this. He's the only thing anchoring Jurassic World to Jurassic Park. And he does nothing.
I didn't even realize it was the same actor, but it is. The guy does not age.
All he does in this is he's just a two-dimensional genius science character that's only there because, like I said, he's from the first movie. It's, like I said, it's weird that he's the anchor, but because he's just one of the most shallow characters. All he does in Jurassic World is say why Jurassic World is terrible. Basically, he gives the speech in that movie about how we keep making bigger and more ridiculous things because we're never satisfied, and somehow we think we can recapture the same magic of the first time we saw dinos if we just make them bigger and dumber. And then in this movie, he works for the bad guys, whom he also ridicules for being stupid by demanding bigger and dumber dinos.
Boy, that really sounds like some prescient warnings about the movies themselves, doesn't it?
Yeah. He's there to just speak to us, I guess.
It's the closest you're going to get to a fourth wall break. B.D. Wong screaming in the back of the lab, "Run away! Take your popcorn and go!"
And I don't understand why he keeps being in these movies. He's just like, oh, he's the guy that designs them.
Neat.
That's it. Yeah. I guess he isn't in much else, so that's why he just keeps agreeing to it. It's like, hey, you want a fat paycheck? Sure. Got nothing better going on. He was like a voice in Mulan.
Really?
That's his other claim to fame, according to IMDb.
He was also in the Gotham TV series as Hugo Strange, if
Okay.
anyone watches that.
Oh, he reprises his role in B.D. Wong in the video game of Jurassic World, in case anyone cares.
He's one of those actors.
Yeah, he is.
You see, at the end of the day, it's not a bad movie. It's just frustrating. No, it is a bad movie. It's fun to look at.
Yeah, it's a bad
It's fun
movie.
to look at. It's a bad movie, though, and it doesn't... If you're going to make a bad movie, you should at least make the story so crazy that you don't even care. But it just keeps trying to get serious, which makes no sense for the subject matter or the plot direction. As a result, you just
Or
get this
the
movie
pacing.
Yeah.
Or just what you're
Or the
watching.
tone.
It's so ridiculous.
So you get this movie that just comes on, like at the end of it, you just leave feeling annoyed. And a movie should never annoy you. It can make you laugh when it's not supposed to. It can make you cringe when you're not supposed to. But if you're just annoyed by it, what's the point?
Well, the point of the ending of Jurassic World is, are they trying to set up an extended universe? They got dinosaurs just roaming everywhere.
Here's my thing.
You got Goldblum was telling us, hey, we're gonna have to, readjust our lives, face new threats, just readjust our way of life.
We're going to get to the point where it's like we're going to Jurassic World number 7, and it's this post-apocalyptic Mad Max wasteland where Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard are wearing like leather Fallout suits and riding dinosaurs Mad Max style across the wasteland.
That's the main saga of Jurassic World movies. We gotta have the spin-off movies.
Oh, you mean like where they cross over into the Ocean's 11 films, and this has all been the long con from Danny Ocean to begin with?
I think it's gonna cross over into the Mission Possible movies. Tom Cruise riding next to raptors. Here we go.
And Transformers. Why not? Those guys will do anything.
They throw a Triceratops at another robot's balls.
The point is, like, I loved Jurassic Park. And you know what? I didn't mind Jurassic World. But Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, it just nosedives so hard that it irritates me. And it doesn't do enough to come back from that. I honestly, like, everyone's going to go see it. It's going to make buckets of money. They're going to keep making these things.
Oh, it already beat Incredibles 2 this weekend.
Well, yeah, I mean, it didn't beat Incredibles 2's opening weekend numbers, did it?
I don't know. It made $150 million, though.
It's true. And it made like $700 million worldwide. People are eating it up. But I feel like unless they can really course correct in the next film, the franchise is actually, I honestly believe it's going to go the way of Transformers. Although I guess Transformers kind of started out on the bottom anyway. But
the whole dumb hero motives in this.
It's going to turn into Transformers.
It's not necessarily it's going to turn into Transformers. Like, this whole movie's, what the protagonists were trying to do was almost as stupid as Finn and Rose's side quest in The Last Jedi.
Yes. Nothing was accomplished except the characters felt good.
Right.
They actually made things worse, but the characters got to feel good. And you're sitting there thinking, wow, I hate these characters.
And they made an extended universe. I'd like to think that Spielberg is too proud to stoop there, but then again, he just made Ready Player One, so...
And he is He is still the producer of this Jurassic Park project.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He greenlit this. He said, I love your PETA storyline, buddy. Make it.
It's going to be a dark day for the Jurassic Park franchise, ladies and gentlemen. Dark day indeed.
Do we have anything to look forward to?
Uncle Drew.
I keep seeing, I kept thinking of Halloween when I was talking about franchises that they're trying to like rekindle. And that one I think is the most desperate. That's not until Halloween.
I'm not even sure like what... Like, we've got Ant-Man and the Wasp is coming up next week. I think that's probably be the next one we'll do. Because as much as I want to see Uncle Drew, that's pretty open and shut. Hotel Transylvania, you're going to watch it with your kids. That's going to be about it.
I've not seen those.
They're not terrible, but they're kids' movies. They got The Purge coming out, the first Purge, which everyone who saw the other Purge movies is going to watch, and they have some weird political messaging in there. Dwayne Johnson climbs a building. That's another movie that's coming out. Honestly, it's like the month of July is pretty rough. Not a lot of great stuff coming our way.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. It'll be great, ladies and gentlemen.
Be there or be tiny.
You've been listening to Dead Man Walking. I have been Dan.
And I've been Uncle Drew.
All right, shut up. Shut the